Round 2 is going to be better than round 1. So for everybody watching, we tried to do this at a conference and we were using wireless mics, which was a fucking mistake. The sound was shit. And then there was like all these fucking people that just kept walking by. And I'd have to stop in the middle of every one of them and be like, hey, asshole, fucking no, go that way. And like it went on for 30 minutes. And then we found out that the cameras that we use at this thing would shut off in 29 minutes. And I didn't even know it. So then we filmed another 15 minutes of nothing. So not only was it super fucking loud, then there was just nothing.
Yeah. I looked at it as a good trial run for us to make it in a better setting.
You can't be authentic. Get the fuck out if you can't be authentic. Get the fuck out if you can't be authentic. Yeah.
I just want to take a second to thank SMA Support Services for being a sponsor of Be Authentic or Get the Fuck Out. We could not do this without you, and we appreciate everything that you do. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Be Authentic or Get the Fuck Out. I'm your host, Eric Obremt, here with another exciting episode. This is going to be a fucking barn burner, folks. We are going to get into some systems and processes. We're going to talk a little bit of roofing. We're going to talk a little bit of siding. We're going to talk a little bit about VAs, virtual assistants, how we can better utilize them inside of our companies. We're going to learn a little bit more about this gentleman, but I want to introduce my friend, Chris Diroll, to the show. Chris is the director of stateside operations for SMA Support Services. As all of you know, SMA Support Services is a proud sponsor, the only sponsor, the title sponsor of this show. That's not why Chris is here. Chris is here because he is a friend. He's got a really cool story, and there's a lot that I have learned. So for people tuning in, what you're going to get out of this episode is Chris is like a fucking wealth of knowledge when it comes to marketing, when it comes to coming up with new ideas. If I have an idea, I will literally just call Chris, run it by him, and then he'll give me 87 fucking things to think about of how we could implement it better. And I know that people watching and listening here, we're always looking for ways to be able to implement and do different things inside of our company and kind of think outside the box. And Chris is very much so known for being able to do that. So Chris, welcome to the show. Thanks for being here, brother.
Thanks, Eric.
Appreciate you, man. This is round 2 is going to be better than round 1. So for everybody watching, we tried to do this at a conference and we were using wireless mics, which was a fucking mistake. The sound was shit. And then there was like all these fucking people that just kept walking by. And I'd have to stop in the middle of every one of them and be like, hey, asshole, fucking no, go that way. And like it went on for 30 minutes. And then we found out that the cameras that we use at this thing would shut off in 29 minutes. And I didn't even know it. So then we filmed another 15 minutes of nothing. So not only was it super fucking loud, then there was just nothing.
Yeah. I looked at it as a good trial run for us to make it in a better setting. So
yes. And that's why I like to film everything here now. Like it's just, it's comfy, it's cozy, like it's a good setup, it's quiet.
It's controlled.
It's controlled. I like controlled environments. Yeah.
We were mid-sentence and it's like, I'm talking, I can just see on your face would change from like talking to like annoyed, and you'd see somebody who would just start walking. Stop.
Dude, I'd get so fucking pissed. So let's dig in real quick. So Chris, you now work at SMA Support Services.
Yep.
For the last you've been there a couple of years.
Yep.
For the last couple of years, you've been focusing on kind of just business growth and sales and onboarding people, correct?
Really like that same foundational business development. Like I was in a roofing business at one point. We were like, all right, we're just figuring out what the fuck we're trying to do here. And it was, hey, go sell what we're trying to sell.
And I think that's important to talk about real quick, is that because SMA is very specific to the construction industry, it does lend yourself to the fact that you can have conversations with contractors because you lived in the contracting space for a while. You're not this like financial fucking nerd that just got brought in that doesn't understand contracting at all. Like you can sit down and have conversations with contractors.
Right. Yeah. My last year when I was in the business, that we were actually an early client of SMA, but I sold 250 roofs retail my last year before I left the business. And so it's one where it's like, I'm not somebody who's given ideas to people where it's like, this guy sold $100,000. It's like, no, dude, I did over $4 million. without any paid advertising, all because of the system that I was thrown into and I didn't know any better. And so it's one of those things, like I just have approached everything kind of like the mindset of an engineer, which was my kind of training before, where it's like, all right, every problem is solvable. It's just a matter of figuring out what's the equation to make it work. And then figuring out, it's like, what's the stuff I can put my energy into that's giving me an output and giving me a good output, not just spinning wheels and leading to nothing. And so I think that's like the last couple of years of SMA was really just trying to grow clients, but figure out what it is that we can do for the roofers, where it's like, I know what we can do. I know how I've used it and benefited it. And now it's a matter of helping others see, here's these little things that somebody could be doing or should be doing. It's just nobody in your team has the time to do it. And that's where it's like, let me help you see those things. Talking through those.
And we went in depth into this last night at dinner, right? And trying to figure out how to connect with the business owner, how to connect with the founder, how to connect with the people that are spending the money, right? To bring on more people, because a lot of times owners will in general have a negative connotation to, not a negative connotation, but they don't consider employees always assets, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes they just consider an employee a liability because it's an expense on the balance sheet, right? And so they're like, well, that person costs me that much. And it's really hard to have a conversation to go, no, they can make you this much, but that only relates in our world when we look at a sales guy, right? So it's like, okay, we pay the sales guy X amount of dollars. He generates X amount of revenue to be able to bring in. I can offset that with what I pay him. And it makes sense in our fucking dinosaur brain, right? That it's like X equals Y, like we can do that equation, right?
Appointment, sale, revenue, profit. Here's what we got. Like it,
right. And it makes sense. Like I can pay that guy 50,000 and a couple of points, or, 36,000 and more points, or, whatever it is. And it all maths, right? It all makes sense. But when you have somebody come at you and say, you need to hire more people, and you need to hire my people to do these things, to do these admin tasks, to do these repeatable things that you guys are wasting time with. They're like, yeah, that sounds great in theory, but all it sounds like to me is that I'm adding more expense to my bottom line, right?
And it's just like, okay, I already have 800 things on my to-do list. Now I have to come up with some more things of getting things off of my own plate in my brain, where they see it as a big lift on their end of like, I just don't have the time and energy to do one more thing because we're already trying to do these three things.
Because it does seem like a lot of work in the beginning to say, I bring somebody on and now I have to teach them how to do all these things, right? Yeah. It's like the first time you ever get a CRM. Right. And it's like, fuck this thing. Like you want to throw it in the trash 87 times because you're like, I don't want to build it. Once you have it built, you're smooth sailing, right? Like, where everything is, you have a process, you have a system, like, what stages you have, like, where all the jobs are. Like, once you have it built, it's awesome, but you do have to put in a little bit of time and a little bit of sacrifice. But I want to circle back because we got to a point where I think it's really important for people that we're talking to. And the reason I bring this up too is it's not even to sell SMA on this podcast, right? Yeah. It's not. I think that everybody should be using SMA because of how it's transformed my company and other people that I've referred, to SMA. But the thing that we get stuck on as owners, again, is trying to figure out what that direct ROI is. And so like, we need to break it down to start asking certain questions, right? And we're asking certain questions to people of who does this thing for you, right? And if that thing is somebody that is a revenue generating position, doesn't it make sense, everybody, that you would take the admin thing away from the revenue producing position so that the person can go create more revenue, right? Because if you're paying $35,000 to $40,000, let's say, for an admin role, but freeing up 40 hours a week for your revenue producing position can create another $500,000 in revenue. Now can we see the correlation, owners? Right? I did. It took me a while, right? It took me a minute of really digging into it, but like that's the correlation that we need to make and we need to get people to understand.
Well, like when I was starting doing this myself, of thinking like, okay, I'm getting to the point where we've satisfied that I need enough number of leads to fill my appointments in the week.
Right.
And once that happens, it's like, as that salesperson, what do I want to do? I want to go meet with customers and go sell. What do I not want to do? If I have that opportunity to go do 10 leads this week, 20 leads this week, I'm sure shit not going to be spending time doing follow-up calls in the office. Like I will make some sort of story in my own brain to keep me focused on the stuff that's fun and easy and the stuff that I like to do. But, you know, the things that made us grow and made us better and stronger as a business, you stop finding time to do those things, because those days when you're like, dude, I got 6 leads this week. Like, what the fuck are we going to do? And I'm like, well, I got a lot of time. So that's the year I figured out, oh, I need to do a follow-up process. Like I didn't have a follow-up process. And then I had time to do click a button, send a follow-up. But then I started getting more leads and filling up, and it's like, oh, when did you follow up last? Well, I haven't clicked that button in my CRM for 90 days.
Right.
And then it's like, oh, fuck, I'm slow. And I would literally hop on the computer and go click, 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 click. And I could hit follow up on all these people. And it's like, all right, great. But those weeks when I am busy, I'm not doing that. And I know when I did that, I clicked that button 50 times and I got 3 roofs that sold. Like, this is where I need to be spending somebody's energy. Maybe it doesn't need to be my energy, but somebody's energy should be spent on that. Because what does that 3 roofs mean to you? It's like, okay, 3 roofs from customers I've already spoke to. That means I don't have to pay for new leads. I don't have to go get another customer, introduce them to me. It's like, I'm just working on the people that I've already spent my time and energy on.
Right.
But again, we all run out of time.
Which is a way easier close.
Yeah.
Because they already know you.
Yeah. It's just like, hey, you told me you didn't need it right then. And I'm not the type that's going to pressure you in and do a 1-call close, because it's like, yeah, you don't need it right now. Call me in 3 months, 6 months, a year, whatever. And I'll follow up with you to check in. And it's just me doing my job. And like, we eventually made the transition, like most people, to manual follow-ups to more of an automated follow-up system. And then I just made that part of my pitch where I'd tell people, I'm like, hey, I'm not going to text you in a month. My robot's going to text me. It's going to look like it comes from me, but it's a robot. So if you ignore it, don't feel like you're ignoring me. You're just ignoring the robot. So if you get a phone call, that's going to be me calling you. Then please pick that up.
Right.
But otherwise, I just want to make sure you're good. And if at any point I get annoying or you don't need me, just let us know. No hard feelings. But I know how my own life is. Like, I think about when we had a website in the roofing business, it was somebody where they had a 30-day follow-up cycle. It was Tim Brown. We used Tim for a website. It's like every day he had a new like education thing that he sent in an email. And I didn't unsubscribe to it. I didn't stop it, because it was one where I was like, all right, we need somebody else. And when I was ready, it was like, hey, I already had 30 days of follow-up of stuff that I'm like, yep, these are the things that I want to be diving into more. And then I was ready when I was ready for it. And so I think that's most people today, like our whole industry, at least from the outside in, when I came into it 10 years ago, it was really like, this is the way we do it. It's the old people contractor method of like, it's a 1-call close. We need both parties, a 2-legged appointment.
Right.
And like, I walk in and I'm like, I would fucking hate buying this way. I hate buying a car. Right. It's that, like, it's a car sale. I'm like, this sucks. Like, why are we doing it this way? And it's like, well, this is just the way that we've always been doing it. And so I think there's a lot of times we just get stuck in a habit of, I don't know, I'm focused on a couple things that are the immediate fire this week. And then it's easy to just kind of let the things that are really moving your needle fall to that wayside, and you forget about them. You run out of time.
When you talk to contractors in the space today, where do you think their most immediate need is to offload for their brain or their staff's brain? One thing.
The most effective thing you could do, and this is where I tell people, I'm like, sit down and just let's have a workshop session where we talk about it.
Yep.
Because I don't care if you're going to have me do it, have one of my SMA team members do it, or you have somebody in your team, or you're going to do it. Follow up with every estimate you've ever sent. Like, text them, email, all those automations, but make a phone call. Show that somebody is checking in besides everybody else is automating it. Okay, I got text from 5 different roofers. Pick up the phone and make a phone call. If anybody out there is watching this and they're saying, oh, I'm late on leads, the business isn't what I wanted it to be this year, did you call every estimate that you've already sent this year? And what about last year? What about the year before? If you've been in business for 3 years and you've done 100 estimates a year, like, I see from the people I work with, anywhere from like a 2 to a 5% conversion on those rehash attempts. That's what I refer to it as, is rehash that old business. And so if I had 100 roofs that I bid and I could close 2 of them from 100 phone calls, like, do you want a faster and easier way to get 40 grand in revenue coming in?
Right.
Like, there we go. So I think that's the number one. Make sure you're staying on top of those people that are your old touch points, and not just everybody who's the new lead. Because when you're now in this environment competing with everybody for leads, especially, and you're the $3 to $7 million roofer where maybe you're spending something on advertising, but now you've got these PE guys who are like, dude, our pockets are so fucking deep. It's like, add a comment to it. I don't care. We'll float this for 24 months. We can get through this. And I'm talking to people where they're like, hey, our lead costs are spiking dramatically because that pool of buyers, the leads that we all have access to of people that need a roof, want a roof, it's shrinking. And so those guys with the deeper pockets, they're going to outspend you all day long. I talked to somebody, I was like, do you know your cost per appointment if you pay for a Google lead? I'm like, your spend is $5,000 a month. That gets you 3 to 4 sits, like maybe if you're lucky.
Right.
How much of your business can you do in your goal if you can only afford to get 4 appointments from that spend? Where if we said, okay, I can get you, if you're looking for 4 appointments, I'm going to sell 2 roofs out of that 4. We'll call 100 people. That's free.
Right.
It doesn't cost you anything. And you can do it all the time.
And when you were working in the roofing business, because you were in Michigan.
Yep.
And you're saying that was all retail.
Yep.
Where were most of your leads coming from?
All self-generated referral business. So like I had the luxury of coming into a business that was 30 years old, but it was ran by my father-in-law, one person, and everything was pen and paper. And I was like
But the phone was ringing.
It was kind of ringing.
Okay.
And he was doing like 70 roofs a year. And it was basically, hey, if you can basically get us to this break even, then this is where you'll start making some more money. So let's figure out how to do that. And so it was like, we went from $1 million to 2 million to like 3, 3.8, 4. And it was just a little year over year where what I realized is like the places I could go and acquire customers. Oh, he also told me, you're going to grow this business, but we're not allowed to hire any more people and you're not allowed to spend anything more on advertising. And he was doing like $15,000 a year on Angie's List. And then Angie's List just took a shit. And I'm like, I got $15,000 in a marketing budget to like do a website or this. And so I'm like, okay, where could I put my money first? And it's like, make a nice looking website. And then where are people talking about me that I can put kind of my flyer on the wall? And that was Nextdoor and Facebook. Nextdoor groups, the Nextdoor community. And it was funny when we were downstairs, you saw the Nextdoor sticker and Mercedes was like, oh, we got the sticker. And I'm like, dude, this is a place that so many people don't understand that like your ideal customer, the moms, the grandmas, like they're on Nextdoor looking for somebody to do a roof. They're asking people in their neighborhoods.
But what is the trick on Nextdoor? Because I've tried to dig into this. Yeah.
So this is, there's the book, They Ask, You Answer by Marcus Sheridan. So I don't know if you ever read it, but he essentially boils down, you as a contractor know the questions your homeowners want to get an answer to. And if you're any good at what you do, you should be able, within a realm of certainty, give them the information they're wanting. So you say you're a roofer, Eric. Well, on a house about my size, in this location with these materials, roughly what could that cost me?
Right.
You know the answer to that.
Right.
Most roofers are too afraid to do that because, oh, my competitor's going to see my price or that's not how we do it. Fuck that, man. I was sending it, give me the price as soon as I can get it. And so we started using Roofle really early to just let this be like a brand thing where I would go on these threads of Nextdoor where somebody would be like, hey, we need a roofer, whatever. And
but were you going in
as
personally
myself,
as Chris?
As Chris.
But how'd you get into neighborhoods you didn't live in?
So this is where it's like for me, I didn't need to. I was just by me being there and then having people that were in the community tagging me elsewhere nearby. Like I was doing it just myself. Eventually we started adding like my sister-in-law, when she joined the business, she had a different house in a little bit different pocket. Okay, we could get 2 accounts and go on there. But at the beginning, like not many people were really going on Nextdoor and promoting that. And on that thread, when people would say, I need a roofer, there's one way, if the business got tagged in an area that I didn't live, then I can see that post and hop in and talk to them. Yep. So hopefully customers that I've done work for and that thought I did a good job,
tagging you.
I'd ask them, I'd say, leave me a review on Google, put it on Nextdoor. That's where people find us. And so on these threads, if I would get tagged, the business gets tagged, I would go tag it, reply as a business saying, thanks for everybody that recommends us. And then myself, I would go in and say like, hey, we're the only roofers that'll give you a price without 2 hours in your living room. If that sounds good to you, click this button.
Right.
And it's like, that's what people want. And all I'm trying to do is just catch some attention there. And so like that, the last year, a couple years ago, but we sold 25 roofs, like promoting the instant roof quote tool without paid ads. We were using Roofle, just putting it on Nextdoor and Facebook group. We got over 500 leads, 25 site visits, 17 sold roofs.
What type of Facebook groups?
Neighborhoods. It's like Royal Oak, Michigan residence page.
Okay.
So it's all the residence pages where like, it's funny because
you have to get accepted into those groups too.
Which most of these are ran by people that don't give a shit. And they're just like,
okay,
go ahead and add it to it. So like like some guys I work with and know, it's like in our area, I'm like, here's a city that like Plymouth. That's where Paramount Roofing, they opened a new shop. I was like, I wonder if I can just get on their neighborhood page. And it's like, they'll just let you in Plymouth, Novi. Can't, like, anybody can get on this page.
Okay.
And so the Facebook pages, they usually have a little bit different angle of like businesses can only post on certain days of the week.
Yep.
You can always go back and comment. And so what I would do is like, if I join a Facebook group, go in, search for the word roof in the group, and then go find every freaking post that has ever been brought up about roofing.
Right.
And I'm going to go back and talk to those people.
Which is what we have our SMA team do.
Exactly.
And so they monitor all these different groups for us. And then if they see anybody post about roofing, they go drop our Roofle link in there and say, here, get a quick quote real, like fast. And we don't even have to come to your house.
I don't know. We're going to have to check into this, but I think the reason you guys might've got that Nextdoor thing, it might've been something that we set up where we're also posting on there. Cause like Nextdoor and Facebook, it's a great.
Well, it was your idea. You told me about it. And then I went and got Dom to start doing it.
Yeah. So like, and that's where, like we took it from, I was the one posting for me in the business to then it became, I know what I want to say back to people most of the time. Here's what I want you to say if it's about X, Y, and Z.
And people want to hear from people. People don't want to hear from businesses.
Correct.
Right? Like it is way more personal when they're dealing with Chris than if they're dealing with XYZ roofing company.
Well, and this was something, I stole this idea. I forget where I heard it, but somebody was like, record a selfie. When you see those Nextdoor posts or Facebook posts, record a selfie and post the video talking to the person that posted it from you. It's like, hey, it was Chris from Tresnick Roofing. I saw your post. Like, just letting you know, I'm a roofer in the community. We've done a bunch. By the way, here's a link to our website page where it's got our past projects and you can see a map of the thousands of roofs that I've already put on for your neighbors. And it's like, compared to all the other roofers on these threads where it's, here's my name, here's my number, I'm cheap, call me, here's a cell phone number, roofing@gmail. You're like, okay, dud. And she's thinking the same thing that I would be thinking going to a contractor is like, this guy's an idiot, this guy's an idiot, this guy's an idiot. Oh, this guy's actually a real person that doesn't look like he's, off of 3 bottles of Jack Daniels.
Right.
And like,
where's Velcro shoes? Yeah. Sorry. Inside joke.
Yes. So like, but I think that's it, is like at the end of the day, it's like people want somebody that they know you're going to sell them something. They know you're there to sell them something. And the whole line of like, well, I'm not here to sell you something. I'm just here to help you make this project a reality.
Right.
Like, but that's reality. They know you're here to sell them something that they got to buy. Otherwise they wouldn't have called you.
Right.
So just like be open about that. It's like, listen, there's nothing you'd be rather be doing right now than talking shingles. Like I would knock on people's doors and it's like, open the door and I'm like, hey, Chris with Tresnick Roofing, how excited are you to talk about shingles today? And the look on people's faces is like, they've already had these appointments from the 3-hour sales pitch guys. They're like, fuck, I got another one. And I'm like, I'm just kidding. I do this for a living and I know that like this isn't that exciting and I'm not that excited about it. So I can only imagine how like your excitement level has to be here.
Yeah.
The only thing you probably care about is the shingle color. So let's just talk about that and then we can get to the rest of it later. But like, this is not an exciting project. Nobody wants to put on a roof. It's not fun. We're all in a safe space. I don't think it's that exciting. I'm not going to try and make you feel like it's that exciting.
It's dirty. It's fucking loud.
Yeah. Look at that. It's a new shingle. And it's like, great. Well, I can't even see them from the ground. So my house doesn't really look any different. And I'm like, that's why siding's fun to sell.
It is why siding's fun to sell.
Like that's why we've started pushing more of it, was because I would like,
for us, that's an easier retail pitch.
It is
like way easier retail pitch.
Yeah. In the storm market, it's like, at least if people have a spec house, builder house with ugly stuff on it, you're like, hey, Hardy, great. You're gonna live here forever. Perfect. We've got this. But yeah, in around here, you were saying like there is no market for vinyl pretty much unless it's insurance claims. And like by us, that's all I sold was just vinyl, just because it was all retail, where it's like, hey, here's your roof price. By the way, your house is kind of ugly. Did you want to change the color at the same time? Like maybe it's paint, maybe it's vinyl, maybe it's Hardy. I can help you with the middle one if you want it, and like throw that out there as an option. But I just started doing it because it was a way to differentiate myself from the rest of the roofers who weren't going out and helping them visualize what the house could look like. I don't care if you buy siding or not. I just want to show you I'm the only contractor that will show you what your roof color is going to look like with your current siding, and then maybe a future state if you want to think about that, so that you can plant that seed today and really have a project where it's like, this is a 5-year plan. I'm just going to do the roof today and go into it later. And it's like, we're not really that interested, but at least you showed me something. And if you're showing me this, what else you guys have in your process that's different than...
And that's why you like Hover.
Yeah, I loved Hover, the design aspect of Hover, hands down, like showing people the designs of what their house could be, helping them see it, where I would go to so many homeowners and they'd say, we just want to go with the same color that we got on there. And I'm like, why? And they're like, I don't know. It's just easy.
Safe.
It's easy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
because they're concerned about making the wrong choice, because this is a forever thing. As long as they're going to be in this house, they're not going to recite it.
Right.
They're not going to re-roof it unless we get a storm. Right. They're not like, they're stuck with this. It's not like a car where you can even trade it in 3 years. Like, this is the fucking color and the style that you're choosing.
Yeah.
Right.
And you see people who it's like your personality does not match the outside of your house. Like this house doesn't look like your home. It just looks like a house. And you want to go back with, like, no offense to natural clay, but like anybody that's got a clay house and they want natural clay again, I'm like, come on.
It's a
like,
spec house.
This is so ugly. Like, let's put some personality in this.
Right.
And so I think that's where, if we can figure out those things that we can do using those tools, I was always looking for those tools that were just like, it's not that difficult to use. And I had enough time in our day to figure out how to use them, but it gave that homeowner an experience that was just different than what they were going to get from.
So first suggestion is, if you're on the fence, you're trying to figure out what you can offload, what you can do to add lead sources inside of your business, is let's fucking double down on Facebook groups and Nextdoor groups and have somebody that is monitoring that all the time. And I think that's the key to it, is monitoring it all the time, because, like, for instance, I never fucked with Angie's Leads or any of those, or Home Advisor or any of those bullshit deals, because everything I read was like, you have to respond in like fucking 8 seconds or you're screwed. Right. Yep. And it's just like, and with a normal business where you just have, like, you know, you have an office manager, an office girl in the front, and, you know, whatever, it's like, you can't respond that fast. Like, because we're doing 87 other things. So like, we might catch it 3 hours later and go, oh, I see that email. Now I'm going to respond. That job's already gone. Right. Like, it's already gone. Where if you have a team that all they do is monitor all those leads that are available to them, and they're calling them right away, or they're messaging them right away, and they're doing it, now you have an opportunity where, even if you throw it into a Facebook group, are you checking that once a day?
Yep.
You know what I mean? You're checking it once a day to go in and go, oh,
we're super responsive. And then it's like, hey, I'd love an estimate.
And
it's
then
like
24 hours later,
a week goes
they
by.
get back to them. Yeah. But if you have somebody that's all they're doing, to your point, I mean, what does it cost to justify having one person do that all day long? A few jobs a year to pay for that, right? I mean, if your average margin on a job is you make fucking 3,000-4,000 maybe on a house, give or take, depending on the house, right? But say it's $4,000, you know, you need to sell 8 or 10 jobs in a year, in 12 fucking months, right? Like, you're gonna do that.
Well, and this is where it gets down to, like, even these tasks, people are like, oh, I'm going to just hire somebody just to do that one thing. It's like, no, because that only takes
so much of time. Right. Yeah, like, exactly.
And this is where it's like, okay, let's figure out what are those tasks that we should do daily or hourly or whatever, daily, weekly, monthly, and figure out what are those things in your business that maybe you or somebody else had done, but somebody isn't doing. And that's it. It's like, so those, or like review and customer satisfaction surveys. Like, we love 5-star reviews, like talking about what we do, how do I make it tangible for a business owner? It's like, what does it cost? What is the value of a 5-star review to your business?
Right.
It's a couple $100 probably, like on the low end. Do you have somebody on there full time? Like, you talk about the revenue producing positions, like, why are we asking our sales guys whose job it is to go out and close these? Like, we want them to ask for a 5-star review, but then we should take this off of somebody else's plate. And if I know that review is worth a few hundred, it's just a math problem of, okay, where's that break even to staff that team member to go out and do, you know, the Facebook hunts, the lead reviews, the review requests. And it's, how do we load up so much value that it's a bunch of, let's call them 1 hour tasks, couple hour tasks, that if somebody just does them, we can look at like a year later. It's like exercise. Like, okay, me not exercising. It's like, well, why don't you just try and get off your ass and walk for a mile every day? Okay, that's not going to do much. Well, a year from now, if you did that every day, that's 365 miles. Otherwise, you would have walked nothing.
Right.
So like, I don't know, something would be better than nothing. And that's where we're at. It's like, well, it's, people just will say, like, they can't conceptualize how they're going to fill all of it. And so they just say, you know what? I'm just going to forget that I need to be doing those tasks and we'll keep pushing forward.
Because the other side of what you said is like, what's a 5-star review worth? A couple $100. But what does a 1-star review cost you? Right? Because a 1-star review costs you tens of thousands of dollars, because you could lose multiple jobs because somebody looked at that 1-star, and by having that phone call first to say, hey, is there anything that we could have done better? Is there anything blah, 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 like having that, and then asking for the review after is there anything that we could do right now to make this a 5-star review?
Yep.
Yeah, you can do these things. Perfect. If we do those things, will you give us a 5-star review? Absolutely. So we could have just turned a 2-star into a 5-star because of that phone call.
Why does every bad review in a business happen? This is my theory, and I think it's pretty simple, but the reason we get bad reviews in our business is a breakdown in communication.
It's always communication.
It's
every
that
time.
simple. And so like if we were to triage and look back on our bad reviews that we've gotten, it's like, could we have had opportunities to catch that and keep that from getting to the 1-star? Probably. And why didn't we do that? It's like, oh, it's because that's the day we had the fire and so had to run and go pick up material. So he didn't run back to the job site and do his normal post like day end of close to check in and make sure they're happy, where they fucking smash some hydrangeas that are going to grow back even bigger next year. And that's all they're worried about. But now they look at us as not having care in the business. And like, great, we realize that there's going to be days where your guy can't get back to the job site, but this is where we put it into a separate process and take that off of his plate, where if this is so critical to make sure your homeowner is happy, make it somebody's job to ensure they're happy before your invoice gets sent to them. Because like I dealt with it, and like this is one where I've thought through, how do I prevent this from occurring? Because there's nothing worse than you get done with the job, you send the invoice, and you're like, hey, we're all done. I think it's closed out well. And then they're like, the fuck we are. And it's like, you're not paying you yet. You got to come back out. And I'm like, God. And it's always due to just the littlest bullshit. Like drip edge. You see that on the front?
Right.
Yeah. It's like, come on. I would have fixed that in a heartbeat. Just tell me.
Yeah.
I'd be glad to help you. But if they don't feel somebody asking them like, hey, can I do something for you? They're not going to make a stink. They're just going to go leave your review and be pissy.
Correct.
And that's like, and that's men, women. Like this is where bad reviews can pop up from the people where I'm like, oh God, I hope we don't get a bad review after I sold a job just because they're an asshole. 5-star review. And then the people you're like, oh, that went great. And they're like 2-star review. I'm like, what the fuck happened?
Yeah.
Like, what did we do?
Yeah.
And so it's like, I don't know. I think taking that feedback loop out of your own plate too. It's like, don't let the salespeople, don't let the person who's just doing that. Like it's a third party. It's like, hey, I'm Marie. I'm calling on behalf of Eric. I'm calling on behalf of somebody at DNM to check in and see how they did. Like, oh, well, I got you. Hey, how did everything go? Is there anything that he or she could have done? Do you have any questions? Yada, yada. Perfect. Like I one of the scripts I have our team members do is like, if you're going to do the customer satisfaction, call back out. And it's like, hey, if you were going to tell a friend how we did, how would you rate us? Like if your neighbor asked how we did, would you give us 1 to 5 stars? Oh, 5 stars. Awesome. Now that you said that, would you mind? It would help us so much if we sent you this review link, you fill it out, because this is what gets us more business. And if they say no, anything less, it's like, what can we do to fix that? And turn that, boom, escalate, let the person who's in charge of handling that go back to sort that out.
Yeah. I think it's so important for people to realize when you're not only running a business, but if you're trying to grow a business, the only way that you can do it is you have to make sure that everybody is working inside of their genius, and sales guys need to work inside of their genius of sales. Admin people need to work inside of their genius of admin. Leaders need to work inside of their genius of leading and managing and whatever, right? Like we don't need to get bogged down by the things that aren't our direct responsibility, right? Like we always need to be coaching them and teaching them how to do better and all of those things, right? Excuse me. But we need to be truly focused on the things that move the needle for us, right? Like we need to be focusing on that. And I know that I was guilty of it early in my career. I know there's a ton of people watching right now that are guilty of it right now, where they have their sales guys doing everything soup to nuts.
Yep.
Right. And then they're like, well, why are they only selling 750,000 a year? It's like, well, because you've got them doing all these other things. It's like, yeah, well, I save money because I don't have to have X, Y, and Z. It's like, well, what if I told you all those things could be done for X amount of dollars and I can quadruple that revenue?
Perfect example. I was talking to somebody, they have a sales team. They had 4 people on their sales team. And if it's probably like most people, you've got that mix of like A, B plus, B minus, and then D, but D's here because sometimes we get a lot of leads and we just need a body out there. It's like, well, okay, well, why don't you just give all the leads that D gets to A and B? He's like, well, he's already maxed out. I'm like, how many appointments is he running? I find that if they're doing more than 2 appointments a day, they're pretty bogged down. I'm like, this is like a spit take for me. I'm like, what? I'm like, dude, I'm not saying this because I think you can do it. I'm saying this because I know it's possible that you could have a team that's doing 5 estimates a day per person, and there's no drop in quality. It's actually a better quality for the customer. And a couple of things are going to happen. One, your best people, they get to make more money. The leads that you give your team members, the ones that are going to that crappy sales guy, like you're spending more money on that. You're giving them to them. And so how do we architect this from like, well, this is how we've got it, and he's the expert and he's got to run. And it's like, no, his job is selling roofs, making customers happy, and trusting us that gets their name on the contract.
Yeah.
Everything besides that is fucking wasted time.
Correct.
Well, he sits in the driveway and he puts his estimate together so we make sure it's right when it goes to production. I said, okay, so you have him pull the estimate, you have him put it in a sumo quote, you have him do this, like all this. So what's that, 15 minutes? So when that homeowner is at home and your appointment, you only have, why do you need a 2-hour appointment? Well, he's got 30 minutes of bullshit in the driveway.
Right.
The homeowner's just like, all right, can you get the fuck out of my house already? It's like, show up with that estimate prepped. It's loaded into the quote. The measurements are pulled. Like, now I go in and do that check and make my notes, whatever, but we can save time and we're just not looking for it. And the reason we're not is because like the exercise thing, again, we were like, I don't know, it's just a little bit. It's not going to do much. But if we add these up over the course of a year, and it's like every week we found one thing that saved us 3 minutes, that's 2.5 hours out of our day. Like, that's a lot of time back if I can find one thing a week, like one thing a week.
Yeah.
To save 3 minutes. That's all I need to do.
That's huge.
And it's like, how then when we talk scale, like this is maybe more of the background of like working in corporate America and the manufacturing, where it was like the whole goal was to build a manufacturing line so we can produce a widget that sells. And then once we get it out and that first widget's out, they are immediately figuring out how do we basically take this whole process and make it more efficient? How do we reduce the people, reduce the inputs, reduce the complexity of what we got to put together so that instead of assembling 70 things on site, we assemble 5 things because we're buying a sub-assembly and then putting it together. And like most roofing owners, once they get that line running, they're like, we got this line. It's pushing off these widgets. It's making this money. Let's put in a new line. And it's like, no, don't go double the amount of people, double the amount of cap. Like, that is not it. Make that line more efficient. Right. And then take 7 of those people, the 14 that were working on the line, repurpose them to do something else, because those 7 now they can run the same amount of output without all that extra people. And it's like, this is how these giant companies have done it. Like looking at manufacturing, my dad worked for Smucker's. Like as a kid, we went to the Smucker's place where they're making all the jams and jellies. Dude, like talk about having your mind blown seeing the amount of like the little jelly packs for the toast at the diner. Like seeing those go through a machine that is putting jelly into those and seeing like 8 rail cars of strawberries getting dumped a day to make these little fucking breakfast jellies. And you're like, that is just like, they're not doing this with somebody squirting it in one at a time. Right. And it's like, that's how.
And that's the equivalent of having your guys fucking do everything.
Yes, because he makes sure when the lid goes on, it's very clean. Like, okay, sure. Nobody's invented a lid cleaning robot, whatever. Like, and that's exactly it. Where that, like my background, going to school to be an engineer, working in design engineering and manufacturing, it was like instilled in me of just like, there's really not an unsolvable problem. It's just a matter of like, what's the constraints that you have and can operate around. And then it's a matter of like figuring out, okay, if these are our constraints and this is what we're trying to do, how do we make it work?
Yep. Let's take a second and let me tell you about SMA Support Services. We use SMA Support Services in our company. We have a multitude of virtual assistants that are all managed by people at SMA. They make sure that all your people are on task and doing the work they need to do so that you can be doing the things that are revenue producing for your business. If you don't know about SMA Support Services and you don't have any virtual assistants inside of your company, you need to check out SMA Support Services.
And there's a way to make it work. And most guys are like, don't know. We should keep doing it the way we've always done it.
Yeah. I mean, that's the usual fucking answer, is that we're going to do it the same way. I thought this was a really good question. I like this. When do you feel most like yourself and when do you feel the opposite?
Oh yeah. This was as soon as I was like reading and filling this out, most like myself, probably a roofing conference. And like because I really enjoy sharing information. It's like, when it boils down to it, I was always good at giving referrals in my business and like looking for referrals of how can I help you, the customer, to solve another problem.
You're great at B&I.
Yeah. And that was one where it was like, I did that for a while too, because it's like, I just know that like, there's a way for me to figure out a solution to this. But with the roofing processes, I like it because it's something that I meet so many people that I get more. It's like I get more data to train my brain on like the other scenarios that it's like I've never encountered. Like I was all retail. I didn't do insurance stuff. And it's like, great. This is just a whole world where it's like I can either sound like an idiot or I can just dive in and try and figure out what can I take from what I used to do and apply it to these guys as I'm learning their processes too. And I think it's that ability to connect with people, share ideas, because it's like at the end of the day, that makes you feel good as a person. Like I love telling people like, don't call me to talk about SMA. Like call me and let's do a discovery call where I talk about 8 other technologies that you might want to touch that sure my team can help you with, but I'd rather you get what you need first and then come back to me when you're ready. Because if you are going to be my client someday, great. I want you to make sure it's the right time. And if you're not the right fit for me now, shoot, I can share information for free. Like I told Joe one day and Adam, I said, Adam and I worked on I was like, I need a better process for our sales calls because I'm just fucking wandering. And I was like, I can talk about everything except for the stuff I'm supposed to be talking about. But the people, like, they'll get off those calls, and I have a couple of recordings that we're going to turn into some like testimonials. But people are just like, this is the best discovery call I've ever had. Like, I don't know if I'm going to buy it from you yet, but like, you're not trying to sell me on this. You're just trying to share information. Yeah. And so like going to a conference, like I love meeting new people and getting more information that it's like, how do I help the people I know by what I'm given? And usually it's a two-way street of like, I can share information and learn from somebody where it's like the bachelor party. You want a bachelor party and then you get people that you've never met. And you're like, well, if you're cool with Eric, like we're going to be cool. I don't know why. I know we're going to be cool. And I think that the industry as a whole is kind of the band of misfit toys where it's just like, I don't know, everybody's fucked up in their own ways, but that's what makes it cool. It's like, it's a pretty accepting industry for all things being considered. And so like, I'm most myself, like, let me go be around people, meeting people.
Where you can help and educate.
Yeah. And cause it's like, we did a sales analysis or like the sales, it's one of those coachings. I think it was like sales transformation group where they're like, here's the type of salesperson you are. And it's like, I'm not intrinsic. I'm not extrinsic. I'm altruistic, where it's like, I just want to help people. And it's like, oh yeah, back when I was selling roofs, like, yeah, this is why you do these jobs that are shit jobs. And you're like, I should have charged more, but I didn't because I felt bad for the person.
Right.
And so it's like, I just liked helping people.
So when do you feel the opposite?
The opposite, like work is easy. Work is so easy. Like there's logic to it. The engineer brain of mine is like, this needs to happen, then this.
Yep.
The opposite of that is at home with my kids. And this is something that like I have tried to do. That's one of the biggest reasons I left the business, was just because like it was burning me out and it just wasn't the right fit for me to be in that seat. But I could tell that my relationship with is basically 3 and then just new baby, where it was like, okay, takes a lot more energy from me to be in this environment because it's such a new environment. I have no experience dealing with this. And you can just take logic and throw it out the window, where it's like, I don't know what to do in this situation because I'm getting screamed at by a kid that I'm like, I don't know what the fuck you're yelling at. And it's like, I don't normally get this when I'm in my professional environment. Nobody's screaming at me for something that makes no sense and I can't fully understand. And now I'm having to try and talk you off a ledge. And like, so
you're more logical than empathetic.
For sure. And that's where it's like that like emotional tree. And it's been good because like having my wife, Allie, it's like, she is definitely more that side.
She's more empathetic.
Yeah. And I would say more like emotionally intelligent.
Yeah.
And so there's been a lot of stuff on my plate where it's like, I don't feel like me because it's like, it's uncomfortable. You look at yourself. It's like when you go out and do stuff you're good at, you're like, I'm fucking awesome. And then you're like this, and you're like, I'm a fucking idiot. Like, what? Like, why am I getting frustrated?
To be fair, I think most parents feel that way.
Yeah. But that's like, and I think that's what's good is like, I've been taking kind of like, I see that stuff. It's taught me a lot of things like what I'm doing as a parent. Cause it's like, oh, where did he learn to be a little asshole? It's like, Dad, I wonder where that happened. Like, yeah. Who's he around all the time? So it's these things where it's like, it's uncomfortable for me, but it's one where it's like, it's a very good uncomfortable that I'm leaning into and like trying to make this one of the biggest focuses of my life for the next 10 years. Because it's like, you ever see those graphs where it shows you like the time you spend with people in your life? Fucking depressing. If you ever look at them, don't do it when you're in a bad mood or sad. But like you show, it's like parents and kids and it's like tons of time together and then they go away and it's like a little bit again and then a little bit before you die. And it's like all of these relationships that you have where if that chart is up, like that's the amount of time you get. And then that time's gone. And so I think for me, it's one where I'm like, I look back and you hear all people are like, oh, kids are the best and the best thing you ever happened. And like in the moment, some days you're like, bullshit. I don't know whose kids they had, but it's not my kids.
Right.
But then like the days when it does go better, it's like, okay, good. And then those things happen and you learn how to, it's like handle those situations. And so now it's like, if I have a grumpy customer, like this is why I like it, is because like if I'm dealing with somebody work related, whatever, I'm like, dude, you're so much more rational. Even if you're being completely irrational compared to what I'm used to dealing with for, 30 hours a week at home.
Yeah.
I can handle you no problem. And so what I've realized is like, it's gotten me to kind of let go of some of the little things that like would pop up where it's like, this doesn't fucking matter. Cause it's just something that, I think I react to the other person's emotions. Like I'm used to more positive emotions. And now it's like, this is not a fun one for me to get. And so it's like, all right, I'm just getting practiced with it and kind of building that skin of like, you don't realize how much a 6-year-old can hurt your feelings until then a 6-year-old hurts your feelings. You're like, damn, dude, like, ouch. Like,
yeah. But a lot of times they don't even know they never know they're doing it.
Yep.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that leads into the next question of who has had the biggest impact on you.
So I would say like, it's kind of, I look at it as like my life. It's like the chapters of books. Cause I feel like it's changed from all that, like, fucking started as a paper boy. Like this is where my parents, like my mom and dad, we came from, like, we're definitely not poor, but we also weren't shopping in Abercrombie where everybody else in our school was at Abercrombie. And like, we would get American Eagle from Plato's Closet and stuff. And like, we had a nice upbringing.
Plato's Closet. Yeah. I remember that. Yeah.
And so this is one of those things where like I think I was 10 when I got my paper out, and they had a paper out when they were kids and stuff too. And it was one of those things like my mom and I did together, but it was kind of, my dad was like, you should do this, kind of get something going. And I credit like my dad for, I think, giving more of the idea, but my mom was really the one that fucking did it all with me. And like, I did it for 7 years. I think I did the math on it once. I delivered 100,000 newspapers on bike, and I did like 60,000 on the weekends by car. And my mom would drive me on every Saturday and Sunday almost to do the weekend papers, because I would sit Saturday.
Did you get to keep all the money?
Yeah.
Okay.
But this is where it's like dad. So like he says the best gift you can give a 12-year-old kid is a Dave Ramsey book about money. It's one of those, you're like, you get this as a kid, you're like, what the fuck is this? Yeah. And it's like his rule, basically, he said, it's like, okay, I don't care what you do with half of the money you make, do whatever you want with it, but the other half's got to go in a savings account.
Right.
You got to save it. And then kind of taught me like investing and this stuff. And so I think that was one early on, just giving me like, I don't know, go do the paper route. It's like, great, get out of the house, go do something, be responsible. But that was really like the seed that kind of planted that first journey of like, I didn't know it yet, but I wanted to be more of an entrepreneur and not working in a corporate America job. But the path that I was on was just, you do this, you go to college, you get a job, and you work for 30 years, and then hopefully you're not dead before you retire. Yay. And so like I was on that path. And then my dad, I was making a decision like, do I try and go to this company that I want to work with after school, or do I go do this one where you're going to have to move around the country? You're not going to know where you're going. It's going to be 3 years, whatever. And he goes, your friends aren't going to stop being your friends just because you move away. And I was like, fuck. It's like, I wanted to stay there and be in the comfort of this area, like knew the people. And I was like, yep, I got to go do something different. And so,
and if they don't stay your friends, they weren't supposed to be.
And that's funny too, because like talking about friendship, like you look at every aspect of friends that you've had through your life, and there's people that are like, oh, I grew up with these guys, whatever. The reason you're friends with the people you're friends with for the first 20 years of your life is proximity. It's proximity, nothing else.
Yep.
And like, I would say it's like the roofing industry now is like, there's kind of that, but it's one where it's not the same of like, we are in the same office every day.
Yeah.
We go to the same conferences. We go out to dinner. These are the things we choose to do together. But that's we're in that. It's like going off to college for the first time, where it's like, I went to a school where I didn't know anybody there. And I'm like, I want that, because I want to just figure out, it's like, this is the new chapter of me. And so I think my dad and my mom both like obviously super influential. And then who's the other person I had on the list? I know Eric was on the list too.
Yeah, you got Eric on there, and Craig.
Oh yeah. So my sales manager at Eaton, back when I worked in corporate America, he's the dude that hired me out of college. And then he brought me into a sales team and pulled me out of the operations stuff. And he was somebody that like, from a management perspective, I take a lot of what I saw from him, managing a team of people that were all super technical professionals, engineering, salespeople, where he's like, dude, I was like meeting with him. He's like, I don't know shit about what everybody does here. And I'm like, he goes, you don't know it either? He goes, I don't either. He goes, but here's the thing. I don't have to know it. It's not my job to know it.
Right.
My job is to be here, remove roadblocks for you guys, and then also give you that push wherever I can. That's my job as your guys' manager. Other than that, it's like, you know, there's just noise that happens.
Yeah.
And like, this is something that I think about now, like in a position, especially with the stuff with SMA, like I was never really in a management position to manage a team more than like one person. And so it's like, I'm thinking back to what was the stuff that we did like in the corporate office that I was like, yes, like he wasn't Mr. Corporate, but he made it work in that office. And it was like, oh, it's not really that hard. It's like care about people and then help them solve their problems. Like that's what managing is for it.
And what do all those people have in common to you?
I mean, my dad and Craig were both engineers, so that helps. But I mean, I would say what they have in common, I don't know. I would say they're all from Ohio, but that doesn't really.
Yeah, that's a terrible answer.
No, I think here's what I would say they have.
You see
in
where
common.
I'm going?
Yes. Here's what I would say they have in common is all of them, like Craig is a good example somebody who didn't know me for the first 20 years of my life, but even my parents, it's like they see the potential. And so it's like I had it's like them, and then I'd go to another boss, and I had one other boss too along the way that was like, he said to me, he goes, you know, they say that a rolling stone gathers no moss. He goes, in your case, a rolling stone just softens the edges. He goes, you need to soften the edges. And like, it's funny because I think like your, the way you are, like you're an approachable person, whether you look like it with a smile or not.
You're talking about me?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And like you're just somebody that
most people would disagree with that statement, but go on.
Yeah, but I think some people disagree with that statement, but I think there's I lost my train of thought where I was going with this.
Rolling Stone.
Oh, the Rolling Stone guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was like, if you had seen me 10 years ago, I think we would have still gotten along equally as well.
Sure.
But the amount of other people that I could probably have the same positive influence on, it would have been a smaller circle. And so I think it's like, I've been fortunate through, like, these are just a couple of people I've named, but it's like, there's been a lot of bosses. Like I can think to each of these people in this journey where it's like, yep, like, you're different than most other people. And it's like, you're the outgoing engineer who won't shut the fuck up. And like, okay, but there's something there. We don't know what it is, but we'll figure out what that is.
Yep.
And it's like I think it's always just been that attitude of like wanting to help, wanting to share. Let's figure out a way to do it.
So here's what I heard is that what everybody has in common that has made an impact in your life are people that have been able to either see you for who you are, or took the time to learn how to see you for who you are, to be able to put you in a position to be able to succeed. And I think that for everybody listening to this, if that's a quality that we look for in a mentor or in a boss or in a leader, then what the fuck are you doing to do the exact same thing? Because that's what your people are looking for. They're looking for somebody that can see the good in them, that can see what their genius is, that can see that you're putting them in a position to succeed. Every interview that I do with new people, I ask them a series of questions and I caveat all the questions with, look, I'm asking this and I'm telling you all the hard things that go into this role because I want to put you in a position to succeed. And so if I can't do that, I don't want you to work here, right? Where a lot of other companies just hire 100 bodies, hope 3 work out. Yep. And they don't care about the other 97.
We always hire 2 salespeople at a time because one of them's not going to work out. Like,
right. But are you taking the time to actually care and look at the human to say, I see something in you? And here's the thing, if you don't, that's fine. If you don't see something in that person, or you don't see something that you can do to benefit them, or that they can do to benefit the business at the same time, then they're just not a fit. And they should probably just be somewhere else where that person can see that in them, right? Don't try to fit square peg round hole. The people that are the most successful are the ones that have somebody to look to, that sees something in them to be able to help them grow. Right. So in turn, it is your job as a leader, because most people watching and listening to this are leaders inside of their space somewhere, whether it's their business, their organization, their family, whatever it is. You're a leader, right? In that world. Are you doing the same thing that you would hope that somebody's doing for you? And if you're not, you better start asking the question as to why, right? Because it's a pretty selfish world to live in if all you're doing is trying to take from other people to say, no, pour into me. Pour into me, take those roadblocks out of the way so I can succeed. Do more work for me, right?
Yeah.
What are you doing to offload for your people to be able to open up and to see them and to actually be able to mentor them the way that you would want to be mentored and led? I think that's super important with what you're talking about. Last thing here, I love this question. Is there anything that you love to talk about that most people never ask you?
Yeah. What am I doing when I'm not working, like outside of spending time with family?
Right.
My number one thing that I enjoy that brings me happiness and peace is gardening. Like I started, this is back when I was in the roofing business, but Michigan, they got medical licenses for marijuana.
Yeah.
Wintertime, I was like, there's nothing to do. And I'm like, you're allowed to grow it. So I just got some seeds and grew 2 little plants. I was like, there's just something like, obviously it was cool because I grew my own weed, but it was like, it was more of that, like I got to start this from like start to finish. And it's like a very slow, but fast process at the same time. And when we started having kids, it was like, yeah, I'm not going to do that as a hobby anymore.
Right.
And so I was like, well, I still love gardening. So I found this thing online through a friend. She's like, buy these flower kits. They send you literally like a 3-inch little plant. And so now we're like 4 years into this journey and I've planted over 600 native perennials. So like all these plants that naturally occur in the Midwest that are actually pretty, planted them around. And like, this is our first year. We've really been getting some more like bees, birds, butterflies, all this cool shit. But what I love about it is like, it is the combination of everything I've ever enjoyed in life. Like I love being outside, love doing something with my hands. I love having something that is like there's short-term work to do, but there's a long-term goal that like, you just have to know it's going to be there. And it won't show up. And then what's really nice about it is
that's also called being consistent, everyone. Go on.
I like it because it's something that it's an activity that I can both do myself. I can do it with, if I need to be just get the fuck away from people, I can go out and garden. If I want to be with people, I can go out with garden. It's like my kids will go out with me and like their favorite plants. They know which of these flowers are. They like help me pick weeds and stuff. And so it's something where like I can bring other people in, I can be involved, but it's like at the end of the day, it's like there's not really a monetary intrinsic value to what I'm doing, where most of my efforts in life up to this point, like I've been one to all of my activities, I've tried to do an overlap like the Venn diagram. And so if I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this, I'm only going to do these if they have a lot of overlap. Otherwise I won't do it. And gardening is the one that I'm like, it doesn't really have, other than, hey, it makes our house look nice. Like, it's not really creating value other than what we enjoy from it.
But it is for you.
It's exactly for me.
Yes.
It's for me to enjoy. It's like, this is the stuff where it's like, I've been going through, it's like wherever we sit on the patio, like we put the kids to bed, Allie and I'll like have a beer, sit out, have a glass of wine or something and like just hang out on the patio. And it's like looking at any of the open beds where I'm like, all right, that one, like, where do I stare at the most? Okay, that's where I'm going to go next. That's my thing. And so then it's like, this is my just, when time permits or I have downtime, like, great, I can work on something that's a part of a master plan, but it's just chunked out into little sections of like, there's always something to be done, but nothing that has to be done.
Do you specifically make the time to do it?
Yes.
You do?
Yes.
So you calendar it basically.
So it's funny you say that. I literally am trying to use AI to like figure out what's my easiest way to like document everything in my library, put my plan together of like, okay, what do I do in spring? So it's like, all right, I don't know, I guess you got to prune trees. I'm like, what the fuck do I do to prune trees? And I'm like, buy a book about pruning trees and shrubs. I'm like, this is the coolest book I've ever read. I'm like, yeah, just let me get the plan now. Cause I'm like, okay, it started off as just throwing shit in the ground and seeing what happens. And now I'm like, oh, I actually enjoy this. Like,
now I want to learn more about it. I want to be good at it.
But in order to do that, there's consistency because it's like you have a window where you can transplant them, but you can't transplant them too late, or you got to get them in and out or whatever. Like,
right.
And so it goes back to like, you know, talking about trying to fit in exercise into the schedule and like putting these in there. Like I count that to some degree as like, that's outside me time where I'm usually doing something physical, but it's a little bit generous to call it exercise. But like, that's something where I'm out and I'm moving. And it's like, if I have a conference call that I don't need to be sitting behind a computer, like Adam said to me the one day, he's like, why the fuck are you taking all these calls from behind the computer? Go out and walk, go do something. I'm like, dude, I was complaining to myself because I didn't get time to like go do some stuff in the garden. I got 3 hours of calls that I just need to be on.
Yeah.
Like going outside.
Yeah.
And so
that crazy fucker goes and walks 20 miles and takes all of his calls.
30. He's like, I have like 20,000 steps before noon most days. I'm
right.
Like, and that's another one. Like he's gotten me on to just get out and move, go do something, go walk and like, just go get some steps. I'm like, dude, I feel better. I'm losing a little bit of weight, but I'm not even trying to do that. It's just like, go do this.
Now just imagine if you start trying.
Exactly. And so that's where I'm like, let's just get me on the like, okay, if I try and do too much, it's like those things you try and set out to do, and then it's like it's going to flop. So I'm like, all right, if we just start by walking and try and like set a goal of what's my mile time? What could I get a mile time down to that's set this, and then in a couple months we'll check in. Like having some things that I think are a little bit flexible on a goal front where it's kind of that undefined goal. Like that's where gardening is.
The other thing that I've really learned, especially in like the athletic space or like doing things like that, right? Whether it's fitness or wellness or whatever it is identifying, or something I read in a book and I learned that it was drilled into me at an event that I was at, but was making a conscious decision to identify as the thing that you want to be. Right. So like if you want to be, if you want to run, you're not just some guy that happens to try it. You don't try to run, right? You either fucking do or you don't. But then if you start identifying as, no, I'm a runner, right? Like I'm still having a hard time with that, but like I run at home. I can't run outside on concrete because I have fake hips and it fucks with my hips. But I have this really expensive commercial treadmill that I have in my gym at my house that you saw yesterday that I run on I lift, 3 days a week, and then I'll run 2 to 3 days a week. I consider myself a runner, right? Like I ran, not like other people that run 10 miles and all that shit, right? But I can run, like this morning I ran 3 miles on my treadmill. It took me 30 minutes and I ran 3 miles, right? But I start to identify as a runner. I've been going to the gym and eating well for so many years, and I made a decision to identify as healthy. That's the other one, right? So like for somebody that, and I don't know how you eat or whatever, but like if you just eat whatever's around, like, well, I do know how you eat. You like shit because you sat at my fucking house last night and admitted you're like, yeah, I fucking eat the kids' nuggets when they're laying around and fucking there's food laying around, right? You said that.
I did say I will eat the fruit if it's good.
You said the nuggets.
I will eat the nuggets.
Yeah,
it's protein. You need protein.
Yeah, and fried fucking shit on the outside of them. But the point is that like, because I used to do that too all the fucking time, right? And I still do on occasion, right? Like it's laying around, you're like, fuck, that looks good. But I made a decision however many years ago, both my wife and I did. She didn't make the conscious decision like I did, but to say I'm healthy, right? I eat healthy. So if I identify as a person that eats healthy, and then I look at a fucking cake sitting there and everybody's eating cake, and I sit there and go, yeah, but I'm healthy. So I don't eat those things because I identify as healthy. If I don't identify as that, then it's like, well, then who fucking cares? Nobody's going to hold me accountable to that. Yeah. But if I consider myself a healthy person and I identify as that thing, then I'm holding myself accountable to be like, well, healthy people don't do that. Yep. Healthy people get up in the morning and go work out, and I eat clean throughout the day. And I have my cheat day on Sunday where I eat wherever the fuck I want. Right. I have my ice cream with Tegan and I fucking go eat a sandwich. And like I told you last night, I eat bread maybe once a week. Yeah. If I go have a sandwich with Tegan, right? Like I have to watch all that. But like I identify as healthy. I identify as an athlete. I identify as somebody that works out every day. Like I identify as those things. And we can't really make like true lifestyle changes in our life until we decide what it is that we want to identify as, right? People identify as an entrepreneur. Okay, well, what is that? Do you own a business? Then you're a business owner. You're not an entrepreneur, right? There's a difference, right? Like Joe is a fucking entrepreneur, right? Like I have gotten to a point where I'm an entrepreneur. Like I am always coming up with new ideas, trying to start new businesses. I jump on LegalZoom and go LLC, and I got a new fucking LLC, and I got an idea, and I'm going to throw money at it, and I'm going to figure out if this one sticks, right? But there's nothing wrong with being either or, but it's identifying what lane you want to be in, what you think is going to be the most beneficial for you, and then owning it and living it, right? And living that thing that you say is important to you, right? What did we talk about this morning on the Cult Culture Movement call, right? It was like, what is important to you? What is the thing that you're going to stick with? And if you end up choosing not to do it, then that means it wasn't really that fucking important to you, right?
And the pick one thing too, where it was like, okay. And that I was laughing because it's like, I'm not going to name names, but there was somebody who was like, well, I have this and this and this and this and this and this. And then you're like, yep. One thing. And speaking of that same person, Joe, he like kind of in that same vein, one of the best pieces of advice that I got from him recently, in just trying to figure out, like, there's a million things I could be doing.
Yeah.
There's not enough time to do everything. And he was saying, he's like, you know, back in the day at Hoffman Weber, what they had done is like kind of, we have 3 big things and 5 medium things that we can work on at any point in time. That's it. And like most things, if they're not the 5 mediums, then they're just the noise. And so like I was asking him that question, you're really more of like, how do we drive the business to stay focused on the right things? But what I'm finding is like, this is the advice that I needed in my own life of like, what are the 3 things? Because it's like, it can't be everything.
Right.
And so it's like, okay, healthy. And like, that's and that was good of like, I am healthy. And it's like, the healthy person's like, yeah, some days you're going to eat 3 donuts because the dozen got delivered and I don't want the kids to eat them, so I'm going to eat them. But most days of the weeks, it's like, I'm making sure that it's like, all right, I want to make sure I get enough protein. Like if I can just start the bar of like, hit this one little thing, now I can add to it and I can put this into the things I don't have to like think about doing. It's something I already do. It's not a new thing for me to do.
It's habit stacking.
And so that's where I was like, what were my, like my identity? This has been one, like I wrestled with that for a long time. Cause I went into the business and then it's like, I was 5 years into it and it was like, we're doing well, like we're making money, but it's like, am I happy doing this? And I'm like, no, I don't think so. I started calling like my old boss, called another guy. I'm like, just trying to get feelers out of like, do I even want to stay in this? Maybe I'll get the fuck out of the business. And I was like, nope, I'm going to do this. And then 3 years later, shit happened, which anybody, if you're getting into business, family, just get an operating agreement, document this stuff, pay a third party, like solve those problems before they become like discussions that you wish you had just talked about. And then I went from like, oh, I'm going to be the roofer and I'm going to buy this business. I'm taking it over and I'm going to run it. And then it's like, nope, I'm getting the fuck out. And I think the last 2 years I've just been like kind of it's a good blob of like, we don't know what we're molding this clay into yet, but it's like, I don't know. I go a couple months and I'm like, maybe that's not it. But now it's like my new identity of like what I am, especially within the business, but like, if this is my identity within the business, these are the other probably really critical components in my life that help me be better in this and also better here. And like my identity is like one of the reasons I wanted to leave the roofing business because I knew my identity should be a good dad. And I wouldn't say I wasn't a good dad, but I could say I could be a better dad.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's the identity I'm going to work on right now. That is the key one. Better dad. Next on the list, better husband. Third on the list, get healthier. And I think like step 1, that's the thing I'm doing. Step 2, we're in process, like also doing. Step 3, now this is my new thing.
Here's what I'll challenge you at though, as well, is that if you take number 3 and you do make it a priority, it's going to make the other 2 you automatically better at.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, cause it's like, you said the thing on the call today where we're talking, I was like, you're just not making the times for it. And I'm like, well, how many days do I wake up in the morning? Because like something like Miles was up at 5 a.m. Allie texted me, he's up at fucking 5 today. And I'm like, those are those days I'm like, dude, I am just dragging ass. But it's like, if we know that, hey, these are the workout days. And Allie's even said that to me. Like, why don't you just go down and work out in the mornings? It's like, you're going to get up early. And I'm like, I sit in bed because I'm like, I just want my couple minutes of peace and quiet. And then I'm sitting dicking around on my phone. And I'm like, oh, it's like, look at a little screen time app. You're like, how many hours did I waste on that this week?
That was 40 minutes.
It's like, okay, if you're going to sit and dick on your phone, walk on the treadmill while you're doing it. At least do that. And so like, that's where it's like, I've had more days where I want to go sit my ass on the couch. And then it's like Adam's voice or Joe's voice or like thinking about one of them. And it's like, fuck, all right, I'll just go watch this on the treadmill and like throw on some incline. Like, look at that. I just burned 500 calories, got my heart rate up. And it really wasn't that much more effort than sitting on my ass, but look how much better I am for that. And then it's like that next day, I feel so much better.
The effort isn't in the action.
Yeah.
The effort is getting there.
Which it's in
That's the hardest part. The hardest part is just getting started.
Walk downstairs.
All you got to do is get started. Because once you get started, it's easy. You're moving, right? You just keep fucking going.
We've got one of those Peloton treadmills, and I go down there and I turn on fucking Netflix.
Yep.
I got this expensive treadmill.
Exactly.
I don't even do classes, but I've got Netflix. I'm like, hey, it gets me to do it.
100%. Okay. So as we wrap up here, what I always do at the end of every episode is I always give the guest an opportunity to, if there was something they wanted to make sure that we either expanded on, that I cut short, that you didn't get to bring up that you wanted to, or you just want to leave a thought with the audience, I want to give you an opportunity to be able to do that to kind of wrap it all up.
All right. I would say the big thing that I would want people to think about is like the changes they try and make. Like, this is perfect. We're just talking about exercise, but like any changes we're making, a 1% gain is easier to do and it's a lot more sustainable. And so whether it's your personal life, whether it's your professional life, whether it's in your business, like we really don't need, like, people set their goals too high. And as fun as it sounds to, I want to be a $10 million roofer someday. It's like, well, let me be a $1 million roofer first.
Right.
And like the way I can get there is by little things, but it's not as sexy to go that route. And like I inherently, like people will be like, oh, people are lazy or people are hard workers. Like I'm lazy. That's the best type of person you want to be, is because the laziest person is going to find the easiest way to get something done. And so I think to some degree, people need to look for the 1% gains, but they need to be a little lazier about what they're trying to do, where it's like, you don't need to be
We could also call that efficient.
I like using lazy because people hear efficiency. It's like using the word synergy. It's too corporate. Efficiency is like, dude, I'm a fucking engineer. Efficiency is my jam.
Right.
No, be lazy. And like, that's being lazy the right way of like, yes, just because we do it this way, like, well, the process is this way. And it's like, yeah, but would that lazy guy take 7 trips to do it this way? Or would he say, I'm going to take 30 minutes to go pick this up, then come back and do it? Like, the guys were talking in the shop about something where they're like, hey, he had to go make 2 trips. So he went and got this and then made it 1 trip. And like, yes, think like that to make those changes. And so don't be afraid to be lazy, but be lazy in a sense of like, you don't have to be as the goal you're setting and what you're trying to climb doesn't have to be as big. It's like, it can be a little bit, we're doing a hill climb. It's not like this. It can be like this. It's still a hill climb. Right. Because you're still going up. It's just going to take you a little longer.
We can get to our larger goals if we break down our larger goals into easier to swallow and obtainable goals to be able to reach the larger goal, right? Yeah. Because that's like when we do sales setting goals for the year, it's like, okay, we're going to set it and forget it, right? If you say it's $1 million or it's $2 million or whatever it is, that's cool. We did that. We're going to work it backwards. So we know we have to get every quarter, what we have to get every month, and what we have to get every week. And then what the effort is that goes into each one of those things. But then we're only going to focus on the day. Yep. And then we're only going to focus on the week. And then we're only going to look back on the month. And then we're going to see what we have to do to make up if we didn't hit that so that we can still get to this goal. But we're not going to talk about that long goal anymore. We're only talking about the day, the week, the month, the quarter, so that we're breaking it down into those things, because we can never achieve, that's not a fucking word. We can never achieve that larger thing that we set. We still need to set it, right? But we need to set it and forget it and then build the infrastructure behind it to be able to do it so we can focus on those little things, right? Because it's nice to say, let's get 1% better every day. We've all read that book. We've all heard that quote, right? It's all nice to say, let's get 1% better every day. But how? How do you fucking get 1% better every day? What are you doing every day to actually get 1% better? Are you just fucking talking about it? Because that's what most motherfuckers do, is they talk about it. Are you actually putting actionable steps into place every single day to actually get 1% better? So at the end of the year, you're X amount % better at the end of the year, or are you just yammering on about it? And most people yammer on about it, right? So what are we doing every week? Did we build an actual executable plan? That was what I talked about in the call this morning. Everybody said, I want to do this thing. It's like, cool, what's the plan? And they all fucking looked at me like I was speaking Chinese, right? And or German to fucking Adam. Like, they're like, what do you mean the plan? And I'm like, you need a fucking plan. Even if it's just something that you're going to accomplish in 3 months or 2 weeks or whatever it is, we need to have some kind of an executable plan that got worked backwards, right? We all know this on when we set sales goals, but it's every other thing that we do. It's every business that we try to build. It's every anything that you try to do. If you're trying to get your kid to do a thing, it's like, okay, we want them to do this thing. What are we doing today to get them a little bit closer to doing that thing? We want our spouse to be able to do it. Like anybody in our life, us, whoever, what are we doing every day to be able to reach that? And I think that that's the thing that if I want to leave everybody with something, it's like, yes, break down your goals into smaller bite-sized chunks. Don't lose focus on the fact that we still all need that hairy, audacious goal that we all talk about. We need that. We need to set it so that we have something to work backwards on. Because if you don't set that thing, then you don't even know what you're working towards. You can't hit a target if there's no target, right? And we need to build the infrastructure behind hitting the target to be able to get there. So, Chris, thank you so much for being here today.
Can I change my answer? Because now I have something else I want to say. Everybody out there, if you've not sat down and done an exercise where you really think about who your ideal customer is, go do that. There's my favorite book on the planet. This is the one we doubled our business after I read the one-page marketing plan by Alan Dibb.
Okay.
And the reason that was, one, it's a very easy book and a workbook thing to get through.
Yep.
But it made me hyper focus on who it was I was trying to sell to. And by doing that, like I framed everything about our customer journey through her lens. Because let's be honest, guys, most of the white dudes in the roofing industry is a bunch of old white boomer dudes that we've all done it this way. They're not selling it the way people want to buy it. And so whether that's, your wife, your mom, find somebody in your network that you can talk through your process with and ask them what they think. Because if you go do that exercise, you're going to realize, oh yeah, we're not doing any of the stuff that she would really want it.
Got it.
We're not speaking to her the way she would want to be spoken to. And that's not just like we talk to her, but it's how do we message what we're doing? And so a lot of what we need to do, going back to being effective communicators to prevent problems, if we understand the emotion that people face going into the buying journey of our business, we're going to handle them so much better.
Yeah.
If I know you're excited, we're going to go shop for a BMW. You're excited. If you got a roof leak and it's stressful and scary and all this stuff, you want a different level of how you're going to be received as well as gone through that entire journey. And so for the people out there that are saying like, hey, it's been a tough year. I need something else to just help me from like shutting the doors. Figure out who your customer is and really build a plan around it. And that book is a great place to start.
The one-page
marketing plan.
One-page marketing plan. Okay, we got another book for everybody to read. So, Chris, thank you again for being here. This has been awesome. It's been a fun couple of days. We're going to do some whiteboarding and some like figuring shit out after this episode. Got to have a really cool dinner and hang out. And like everybody knows, one of the reasons that I do this podcast is selfishly, I get this cool opportunity to be able to sit with people, sit with new people, really get to know them better, and connect on a different level. And the reason that I decided to put it on film was so that you could then have the feeling of sitting in the room and being able to do the same thing. So when you see these people out and about, if you have the opportunity to do so, you can kind of feel like you know them a little bit better, and it makes it easier to walk up and start having that conversation. So thank you everybody for tuning in. Thank you, Chris, for being here.
Thanks.
Thank you, SMA Support Services, for being such an amazing sponsor for our show, and all the work that you do inside of my company as well. And again, if you got something out of this, which if you didn't, there's something wrong with you. But like, subscribe, do all the bullshit that everybody says you have to do. Leave a comment below. I do read all of our comments. A lot of them aren't nice, I've learned lately. So it seems like the only people that comment are like cocks. Like they're just assholes that comment. It's not like good people, but comment, and I'll tell you to go fuck off if I don't like you, because I actually enjoy like being snarky online. So thank you for tuning in. Like, share, subscribe, and remember to tune in on the next episode. We'll talk to you soon. And remember, everybody, all you really have to do in life is be authentic, or get the fuck out.
Get the fuck out if you can't be authentic. Get the fuck out if you can't be authentic. Yeah.